Yo, Manhwa fans! Get ready for an epic recap of a story that'll blow your mind. Picture a world turned upside down by sudden dungeons spawning monsters and awakening hunters with insane powers. But our main guy, Yujiya, he's stuck with the worker class, zero combat skills, no fancy talents. Just a dude everyone dismisses as useless. He scrapes by collecting resources in the background, running a tiny shop, and geeking out over books. Then, one sleepy day, everything changes. Yujiya wakes up in a mysterious forest packed with rare treasures where he unlocks his first skill just by watering a plant. From there, his journey explodes, crafting game-changing potions, teaming up with mythical creatures, battling dark forces, and uncovering secrets tied to the world tree. It's intense, twist-filled, and had me on the edge of my seat. Can Yujiya rise from nobody to hero? Stick around for the full scoop, you won't believe what happens next. On a day like any other, the peace everyone thought would last forever was shattered. They say they came to look for some potions, but the girl points at him immediately and says, "Wait, aren't you that guy? Ah, I heard you killed a level creature solo, that's insane." She slams the table. "That's not the point. The potion you gave me, where did you get it, or did you make it yourself?" He shows her the apple and says, "Use this." She asks, "This, yeah, a solar apple I found by chance in a level 0 dungeon." She asks, "A solar apple in a level 0 dungeon?" As far as I know, this item isn't that common. Our guy obviously doesn't want to tell anyone he has the Forest of Abundance. "Well, I'm glad my potion helped you," he says. Trying to change the subject, she points to the side and asks, "What's that?" He replies, "It's a frost resistance potion." She wants to know the effect. He says, "I think it gives a 32% resistance to frost for 40 minutes. She's stunned again. The best potions on the market offer a 10% resistance for a max of 15 minutes. This one's like 10 times better. Then she wants to know where he found this. Our guy remembers that when he was in the garden world, he found some winter strawberries and used them to make the potion. His alchemy is already level 2. With the worker class, he clumsily says yes. She then asks, "Is it true that you have no skills?" He says again, "Yeah, I found it in the level 0 dungeon." She realizes immediately that he's lying and says, "I won't ask any more where since it makes you uncomfortable, but sell me everything." "Everything?" he asks. She throws money on the table, saying, "I'll pay cash, I don't even want a receipt." Our guy says it's too much money. She walks away saying it doesn't matter. However, she asks his name. Our guy says it's Gia. She thinks and says it's a beautiful name. Looking all sweet, she replies, "See you next time one day." The scene then shifts to our guy back in the forest. He keeps coming back with more stuff. However, he starts questioning, this place is really weird. There are so many rare resources. And there are no monsters at all. Where am I? He hears some movement nearby and slowly walks to see what it is. He says he's sure something was around here. When he sees it, there's a beetle called a pterodrone, a mythical monster. A creature the size of a small car that looks like a beetle with giant claws. Our protagonist recognizes the creature instantly. However, strangely, they are very small here. The guy next to her scolds her saying, "Don't say that," then looks at the protagonist and says, "I'm sorry." They're supposed to be the size of a car. He wants to pass, but there's some barrier protecting them. Then some evil ants appear and the little creatures start to fight. Our guy watches and says, "Why are they killing each other?" A shocking twist you'll often find in recap manhwa. The problem is these demon ants are extremely dangerous, but again, they're supposed to be the size of a truck, but here they are small. However, he sees the pterodrones getting crushed, all crying. Our protagonist wonders why they are fighting, and at this rate, they'll lose. I can't help. Then the system gives a notification. The war between your pterodrones and the demon ants has begun. Do you want to help your legion, yes or no? Our protagonist can intervene in this, even stranger Mr. Drone says. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, your legion is losing. You can use an essence booster. To improve the chances of victory, increase HP by 30% for an hour boost poison resistance. Increase physical resistance or the worker's blessing, which costs 2 essences. Our guy thinks he gets it. She's a bit lost. The protagonist says it's fine and that she hasn't said anything wrong, and says I can't help directly, but I can provide assistance by walking around. He had found these essences used for boosters and only has 2 since the last option is more expensive. It's probably the best. So he applies the worker's blessing. The little creatures feel the energy flowing in them, empowered. They start crushing all the ants, they quickly gain ground, and our guy is thrilled. Whoa, this is crazy. He approaches the pterodrones and thanks them for defending the forest, however. The little creatures start giving him a lot of essences. He smirks a little, and the creature looks a bit confused. He only takes 5, saying they can keep the rest. This is more than enough for me, he says. After all, they were the ones who fought for their lives with that. The wall and the fog of the place disappeared. He thinks I plan to stay here just a bit today, but it seems I won't be leaving anytime soon. The next chapter starts talking about the Hunter's website and the various communities that were created when all this started. Currently, the Sword Witch's rank. He really doesn't have any special skills, so he doesn't hunt. He just stays in the background collecting resources. 12, and we see some users discussing the possibility that she killed that creature alone being a lie, until someone turns on the light and asks, "Are you a zombie girl?" That's Chuyun, the best alchemist in the Flame Guild, the redhead. Says she can concentrate better when it's dark, but asks if he managed to solve what she asked him. He says it was in person. The boy is a hunter with the lowest rank of all, no special traits, Yujiya, and as expected. I didn't see anything strange in him. The redhead responds, so maybe it has nothing to do with Jaehyun getting stronger. Chuyun says, "I don't know, I was selling something special. Do you know what a solar apple is?" She says, "No." He then explains that the solar apple is something no one knows, but the boy does. It's an item that drastically reduces ice consumption. And I'd never seen one in person until I went there. And the strangest thing is that he made a potion, using it and sold it at a cheap price, the redhead then comments. But if the apple is real, it's impossible for it to be cheap. He tries to explain that there are only 2 options. First, she doesn't know the real value of a solar apple. With that, the girl says she understands, and the guy says she shouldn't have asked. Some tanks pass by on the street. Or she's just a person without any greed. She gets up and says, "You know what? I need some fresh air. I'm going to see him." The boy asks if she wants him to call a car. She says, "What? I'm not the boss of the company." He says he is, but she replies that he's in a position estimated by the Eternal Guildmaster. Back in the Forest of Abundance, Gia feels a bit cold, but she brought a lighter. Remembering that after the barrier fell, she didn't see anything very different. Of course, she hasn't fully explored. There's an area that seems extremely dangerous. You can feel it, and for now, she's not interested in putting herself in danger, so she decides to head back. At that moment, the little beetles appear again carrying some things. Confused, she says, "It's you guys again?" "What are you carrying?" "A chasing flower," Gia asks. "Is this for me?" The little beetles nod happily. She realizes that one of them is a bit bigger than the others and is always at the front. She says you're different, and everyone knew it had to be at least a rank 3 dungeon that appeared. The guy says, "Damn it, you're the leader." They don't really respond. Our guy asks, "Did you come from that scary place?" At that moment, a mission appears. The Terradrones request your help to rescue their queen. Do you accept the mission to rescue the queen? I think it must be like what happens with ants or bees, so these seeds from the fog hunting flower are a common request. Reflection, since you protected the forest, I'll see what I can do. I'm scared of that place too, but I'll see what I can do. The little beetles are all cute and eager. However, for this, you'll need to prepare some things. So they plan to do it tomorrow. The next day, she made healing potions, poison resistance potions, and a lot of food rations. Everyone is ready with everything enhanced. She says, "Let's go rescue the queen." As she approaches, she sees it. The thing emanating the purple aura is the nest of the demonic ants. It's at least 3 m tall. Without further delay, the battle is about to begin. The fight is intense. I wish I could participate in one of those. She replies, "With our skills, forget it, not even close." Wow, the protagonist is impressed. The Terradrones are winning more easily than last time, but the poison is still hurting them. The system then says that she has the right to use a power once to help them. She can bring the flying demonic ants to the ground with a slap, but it will cost 3 essences. Our guy is confused. A slap, and I can only use it once. What am I supposed to do with that? Then she sees the top of the nest. A winged ant appears. It's a messenger. The system warns her that if this ant escapes, it will bring back the main army. She looks at her hand and wonders, so I can stop its message with a slap. Well, whatever, let's see. She activates the ability, and just as the little ant is flying, she sees the enormous hand coming. Wow, that was really a slap. I thought it was some kind of power, but it was the protagonist himself. He sees the huge hand coming. Wow, that was a real slap. I thought it was some power, but it was the protagonist himself. The next chapter starts with Waylon visiting our guy's shop up front, he thinks. This is the place that sells the solar apple from outside. It looks like any other shop, but who knows what secrets are hidden here like. Our protagonist observing just thinks about how tough something like that must be, especially since he was informed that Jahan managed to hunt that creature after visiting this place, so I'll go in and find out. Yes, but he notices it's closed, but the sign says it's open. He wonders if he went to the bathroom, asking the guy nearby, who laughs they're not open. Today, the guy replies, "I'm not sure they haven't opened since yesterday, actually." The young man who runs, "This place seems to have something going on?" She asks the guy why he's not opening frequently. The guy replies that the youth today aren't like they used to be. No professionalism, she thinks. Wait, this change is recent. It seems like this Yuki is hiding something back with our boy. He's impressed with the slap he gave the other ants are sweating. Meanwhile, the beetles are now motivated, charging forward while the ants flee a bit later. The beetles are celebrating their feat. However, he asks, aren't they going to rescue their queen when he sees some small beetles already bringing her on a stretcher? The warrior queen is all battered. She tries to get up to talk to Gia. He tells her not to strain herself. You've done enough. People leave and he says, "Arigato." He wonders how many resources there must be in a place like that, but obviously, you can rest. Then the system says the queen of the Terradrones wants to form a sworn alliance with you if you accept. You will be sponsored by the Terradrones and receive various items. It also says that Gia will have to fulfill their requests. Our guy says there's nothing to think about. Of course I'll accept. After all, they can help each other, the system then says. You and the Terradrones are now allies. Now you can sponsor them more directly, the little general from before then. Evolves into a Terradrone warrior. Our guy impressed says, wow, now he really looks like a general. He calls the squadron, and they bring him a bunch of stuff. Gia, embarrassed, sees him again and says he doesn't need all this. I'd be fine with just 10 essences and a little bit of ice. He wonders what those seeds they gave him are wild grape seed and tree fruit seed well. Our guy says he'll just plant them and wait to see what grows. It seems strange to me that a tree grows a fruit. How is that possible, he thinks. Well, whatever, the forest will take care of it. The plan now is to build a new cabin. The next day in some other dungeon, the guys are talking, are you sure the Ant Queen is here, Hume? With the emergence of dungeons, everyone was terrified when Gavin's testosterone showed up in the middle of the city, bringing hundreds of creatures a moment that recap Manhwa perfectly highlights. He will never go there. It's been 5 years since he awakened to receive this worker class, but has nothing, no skills or traits. He replies, of course, we'll make a lot of money if we steal her nest. But another guy says, hey, wait a minute, what is that? The mission is already completed. Hume says, what are you talking about, idiot? We just got here. When they look, the nest is empty. The guy in the back says, hey, someone from another region cleaned it. The knight says, don't you know that once a dungeon is cleaned, it doesn't reopen? So the guy thinks, damn it, how did this happen to us? The guy in front tells the other man, I don't know what happened, but it looks like there was an attack. I didn't see any ants at all, said one of the guys. The knight responded, that's impossible, man. Look around. There has to be some trace of them. Then one of them said, John, take a look at the ground. John asked, the ground? Wow, look at that handprint. They wondered who could have done this. One of the guys questioned, isn't this the shape of a palm? Is this the work of a giant? Another guy said, man, but at this size, it must be a creature of at least destruction level. Special. That's why when he goes to dungeons, he stays in the background as soon as everyone kills everything. One of them started running, yelling, let's get out of here. One of them told the group, do you think we have any chance? Against a creature that wiped out the entire ant nest by itself if we don't retreat now. We'll die without even knowing what happened. Let's go back to the guild. Then we see some guys in an office. Examining the palm mark of the protagonist, the successor of the important group, Yunsu said, this was in the ant nest. If anything else happens, let me know. The guy was just thinking, this palm isn't from an ordinary monster, and it's too big to be an evolution of any other species. It's some creature we don't know about. It could have appeared above the destruction range. Looking out the window, he thought, I just hope that terrible thing doesn't happen again. We see our protagonist in Area 5 of the city. He was waiting there until a girl came running and screaming. She looked like a version of his sister. Could that be the case? She fell to the ground like a klutz. She helps him up, saying, everything is okay, the book is safe. He says, that's not what I'm worried about, girl. This crazy-headed girl is Unyun, the only origami hunter in Korea. He goes in and collects the leftovers. It doesn't pay well. No, it doesn't pay well, but it's enough. What she does, he doesn't know. She says she hasn't been out of the house in a long time. She forgot how to walk. Clearly, she's a book addict. And that's how she and the protagonist became best friends. He hands her the package saying, have you had breakfast? Humi asked me to give you this. She thanks him and gives him a small book. Our guy asks why. She says she went to a bookstore and the seller was sad, saying that everyone who took this book always returned it. So she bought it and brought it to him. Our protagonist says, a book that everyone returns? That's a bit creepy. Not when he looks at it, he already sees it has mana and aura there, and the system gives a notification. You have acquired the infinite spellbook. To write a spell in this book, you need the Thunderbird's feather and ink. Our boy asks, are you sure the guy didn't want this book? She says yes, that there's nothing written in it, and he only used it as decoration. She tried to write something, but it didn't work. The protagonist thinks a book with nothing written in it must have something to do with that notification from a moment ago, and probably just enough to pay the bills for the month and keep this place open doing what he loves, which is reading books. She didn't get the notification since she's giving it to him. So she says sorry if you don't want it. He says, no, I like it. I'll keep it. I'll use it wisely. Back at the store, he tries to write with a pencil, but it doesn't work. He knows he'll need that Thunderbird feather. The system gives information Thunderbird a colossal and extremely rare creature with a wingspan of 25 millers. Our boy thinks I'll have to get that, not to mention it's rare. How am I going to locate something like that? He thinks, I'll be another person using this as decoration. However, when he touches the book, he receives the trait of good handwriting and an ancient magic skill. He looks at his own hand thinking, what's this out of nowhere? But he didn't feel different. But getting this skill now is no coincidence. He takes a piece of paper that was with good handwriting and an ancient magic skill. He looks at his own hand thinking, what's new out of nowhere? But he didn't feel different. But getting this skill now isn't a coincidence. He takes a piece of paper that was nearby and manages to write about the bird. He even levels up his handwriting skill. However, even with that, he can't write in the book. But he wrote there, bird 25 mep, a giant bird, very hard to catch, a great feature of the skill. Whenever the shop is empty, he takes one and reads, but that day he felt sleepy. He thought maybe it was because the book was too hard. Is that his handwriting became much prettier at least? But then he feels something happening nearby. He runs outside and a door opens in front of the shop. Difficulty 0, target Thunderbird, feather time limit 1 hour. He thinks, wait. A goes straight to the bird's nest. Could this be an effect of the good calligraphy skill? The aura seems dangerous, but it's rank 0. So it shouldn't be a problem, right? Well, let's go in right away. She sees a waterfall, thinking that she really let him in, Gia. Question. Is this the habitat of the tree? It doesn't seem like it can accommodate a giant bird, but then the bird appears, a classic surprise often seen in recap Manhwa. It spreads its wings over him and flies away, exclaiming, how am I supposed to hunt that? It's as big as a house. However, some feathers start to fall. The bird flies away, apparently saying, use your trash well. She wonders, wait, it's leaving. She picks up a feather, already acquiring the Thunderbird feather, thinking how could it be so easy with the feathers now in hand? She just needs the ink smiles, already having an idea, calls the Terradrones to bring a bit of green herb extract, thanks her little friends, and thinks that now the preparations are complete. To understand him, boom, he fell on the table, but the book glowed and he entered. She's ready to solve the mystery of the infinite spellbook pie. They're ready to write. She thinks, I wonder what kind of magic is in this book. Well, I'll find out for myself. She touches the feather to the book and many magical things start to happen. She begins to float and the magic spreads throughout the forest, crashing into a tree. When she rises, she recognizes it immediately, thinking these are unique words, something she had seen in a book a long time ago. The legend of an ancient tree that taught a tribe 4 types of magic creation: harmony, change, and destruction. However, it was extremely difficult to control these magical powers until they discovered the runic words on an expedition. By researching, she understands that the ancient tree of the world taught that tribe the 4 main magical powers. The understanding was very difficult, so they divided it into runic words. However, she had never heard of these runic words in her life. She wonders if maybe there's a way to use them with this book, looking at the tree. She sees runes appearing on the pages when using this book and wonders why they were engraved on the tree and not in the book. Our boy wakes up with the leaf falling on his face and sits up all scared. What is this place? Wait. She remembers that this is the tree she watered when she first arrived here, but she's sure it's impossible for this little tree to be the tree of the world. She thinks to herself, I don't know when these runes will disappear, so it's better to write them down. But will something happen just by putting these symbols in the book? Gia feels something strange. Although it's the first time she's seen these runes, somehow she understands their meaning. And what is engraved in the tree says, Destruction, the fire will burn everything. The guy is a bit crazy as he reads this and writes it in the book. The system then says, Scroll of Change Destruction increases the destructive power of a magical rune. She's euphoric. Wow, so if I write the runes, they turn into scrolls to use. Well, if that's the case, I just have to tear it out, right? It cuts and turns into a scroll, says he's going to write about 99 more of these. Then he realizes the page he ripped out has regenerated. That's why it's called an infinite spellbook. Wow, I like this. Our guy is different, but in a different way. This is definitely not a dream, it's an illusion. I can open my status window. He opens it. Nothing special, but this forest looks a bit strange. Looking at the book, he knows he can write as much as he wants. All he needs is ink, which isn't that hard to get. The only problem is he doesn't know exactly how the scroll works. Increasing the destructive power of a magic rune is all it says. Since he has no magic, he can't test it. He'll need a wizard to make it work. Oh, look who's already in the shop. Come here, Sly. I'm going to use you for this scroll. She asked our guy, are you the hunter, Gia? He responds that he is. She runs to him. Finally, we meet. Turkey jumps as she screams in his face. You're hard to find. You don't know how many times I've come to this shop just to find you. Our protagonist thinks this is tough, he apologizes, saying, due to personal circumstances. He's had to close frequently, looking him in the eyes, she thinks. Just like Chuyun said, he doesn't seem special at all. Our guy wonders why she's looking at him so coldly, but she thinks to herself, it doesn't matter. My purpose here isn't him, but the items he sells. She apologizes and says she understands his circumstances, but still sorry for the late introduction. I don't hear any animal sounds, and I can't see anything through this thick fog. All I can see are those little... But she is the leader of the Eternal Flame Guild to Leon? She heard he sells special items in his shop. He feels her presence, and she starts to say something, but he interrupts. You're talking about the solar apple, right? Or are you looking for the winter strawberry? She says, that's correct. But he continues. Those items are the most famous here in the shop these days. Wait, one moment since you've come here several times without success, I'll give you some things, she thinks. Is it really that easy to get stuff from him? She's very confused, but our guy says, hey customer, we're out of stock. She asks, what do you mean? Our guy remembers he focused so much on playing with the teledrones and writing runes in the book that he forgot to make potions. So he tells her, if you come back tomorrow, I'll prepare them for you. Sorry again, she thinks to herself. Yeah, I can't say anything clearly. She's sad. Is he nice or stupid or both? She turns to leave saying, well, there's nothing to do then. Since you have nothing to sell, she sadly leaves. Thinking to herself, I'll come back tomorrow. I just wanted to go to the dungeon. But then our boy says, wait a minute, you said you're the leader of the Eternal Flame Guild, right? You're a fire mage. Yeah, why? Sprouts over there, what is that? It looks like a fruit. He approaches confused, saying he's never seen anything like it. Ice grass. Jial hands over the scroll and says, ah, great. Then try this, I'm sure it'll make an explosive meteor bomb. She looks at him and asks, what is this, a scroll? The protagonist replies, yeah, it's a fire scroll I made yesterday to test. I'm giving it to you so I don't feel bad about letting you go empty-handed, she says. Well, since it's from you, I won't refuse it. She activates it and the shop explodes with a flaming message. The flames will burn everything. She says she likes that saying, and we'll see him tomorrow. He replies, all right, my client. See you soon, but notices something. The staff on his back is shining much brighter than when he entered. Then we see her in the spider dungeon. They just defeated the sentinel spider and are moving forward. Our redhead is casting fireballs. However, she finds it strange her fire powers are much stronger. With a single hit, the creatures drop dead. Not to mention the rune on her staff keeps shining, but she gets a bit distracted and almost gets hit by a poison. Purple she manages to dodge. The guy next to her asks, are you okay, leader? She says she's fine. She just finds it strange that there are way more spiders than expected. The guy apologizes again. They emerged bringing fear. However, just when despair hit, hope appeared. It makes the consumption of ice for any skill 0x10 seconds. Is this description real? Saying that in the forest dungeons there are many variables, but if she wants, they can go back and regroup. She says, never mind, we'll keep moving forward no matter what. But the cautious knight says, it's better we go back. You don't need to exert yourself so much, but the warrior is on fire today. She says, don't worry. I feel like I can beat anything. She starts creating summoning circles. Watch out, here comes the fire and all the spiders. Everything starts to burn. The guys are impressed, saying, what's going on? Leader, when did you level up so much? Did you kill them all by yourself? She's questioning herself. Wait, something feels off. I've never had this much power. Could it be that scroll from the sly one back at the protagonist's shop? He's finished crafting potions. This should be enough, right? He prepared a bunch of solar potions and some cold resistance potions. Now he just waits for Wyon, who said she'd come in the morning. He looks back. Ah, welcome, Wyon. I made the potions you asked for. But in his thoughts, he notes she's accompanied. Wyon says, Hunter Yugia, we can buy the potions later and have a little chat. Suddenly, she throws a suitcase full of money. Wow, what is this Wyon? If this were true, it would be a really good item. And mana in this world is basically energy that people use to cast skills. She responds, what do you think it is? Money, you're the type who doesn't care about money. Now I understand. Why are you selling these potions at such a low price? He says that's not the case. Everyone likes money. But he feels uncomfortable with her giving him so much money. She explains it's because of the scroll she gave him yesterday. It has an extremely strong effect. Definitely something above grade that she says the scroll is so powerful that it's almost a steal for her to take it without paying. Besides, if she didn't give something in return, she wouldn't feel right. He says he understands. In his thoughts, he's impressed. As he expected, the infinite spellbook is really amazing. She says if he doesn't want cash, he can just give her his bank account details, but our protagonist is very kind and polite. He says he's really grateful, but doesn't have the right to accept the money. She asks, what do you mean? He says, as I said, the scroll was an apology for making you wait, and I'm not honorable enough to take all this money. He thinks, it doesn't matter, I just wanted to give her the scroll as proof. She says, "You don't know. In an instant, a good person can become a fool." He says he's really grateful, but he doesn't have the right to accept the money. She asks what he means, he says. So an item that basically allows you to have infinite energy for 10 seconds. As I told you, the scroll was an apology for making you wait, and I'm not honorable enough to take all this money. He thinks it doesn't matter, I just wanted to give the scroll as proof. She says, Fia, you don't know in an instant a good person can turn into a fool. What do you think happens if a hen lays golden eggs for everyone for free? What will happen to those people? Our guy answers, everyone will be rich. Guyon responds, of course not. Once this spreads to the public, the hen will become the target of everyone. That's why your ability is amazing but extremely dangerous right now. Do you understand? The protagonist replies, I understand. Guyon says, well, if you understand, I want to make you an offer. He, confused, asks an offer. Jia, do you want to join the Eternal Flame Guild from nothing? Guyon says, all right, if you understand, I want to make you an offer. He confusedly asks. Offer, Jia, do you want to join the Eternal Flame Guild of nothing? Yes, she says. I know, my introduction was a bit negative when I came here for the first time, but it was only because I was worried about you. Our guild is extremely ethical and never harms people. And the reason I brought the money was to show that we can reward you for your skills, Jia says, but the Eternal Flame. That would be incredible. He keeps looking, thinking if only he could get the liquid from these herbs. Is already a well-known guild, you didn't need to do all this to prove yourself. She says she wanted to show that such a famous guild regularly appreciates it. Besides, we have many wizards in our guild. We also have many alchemists. Chuyun, the chief alchemist, speaks in a distorted voice. I love the Eternal Flame, Guyon continues. Mentioning its numerous production facilities, you would have the opportunity to conduct extensive research. Your salary and benefits would be as high as you want. You would even have the authority of a chief or superior. Jia, visibly unsure, listens as she continues, join our guild. Jia interrupts. I appreciate all your kindness. Guyon, initially celebrating, then realizes something. Wait, you only accept kindness? You don't want to join, but why? Our conditions are so generous, he explains, as I said. It's a bit too much for me. I'm sure there are people more qualified than me to join the guild. Guyon insists, please, you're more than capable. The guy behind her says, it's all right, leader. Let's calm down, she replies. Too bad I didn't bring any bottles with me. Right in front of him, there's a leaf on a branch that catches his attention. It's not underestimating too much. It can't be like this, and explains. I was originally a low-rank hunter without any attribute. The reason I can make these special items is not because of my skills, it's due to luck and my friends. Like the beetles and my friend who gave me the book, everything that happened to me was due to fortune. And my friends, my skills could disappear someday. That's why I don't have the confidence to accept this offer. I don't know how long I can keep doing this, besides I'm very attached to this place to just leave. Suddenly, she is confused, but the guy behind her speaks, leader. It seems changing her mind. Won't be easy. Let's respect her wishes. She remains puzzled. Jia says, of course, thanks to your advice, I will be more careful. I'll start charging a bit more for the potions. She quickly replies, don't tell anyone. I was the one who made you charge more. She sighs. Well, I don't like this. It feels like being rejected in a relationship, but I have no other option. If you ever need help or find yourself in danger, just call me, Jia reassures. It's fine. If any danger approaches, this guy here will alert me. He points to a small bell plant that makes a sound when danger is near. He decides to take a closer look. Apparently, he was at a lake, took some water, and poured it on top. The story then transitions to the post-Great World, illustrating how hard it is to live in nature. Seas, beaches, forests, and mountains are overrun by monsters, but the dream forest is a place that Jia can enjoy. This is really relaxing. The sea is the best place for a headache, he says. Amazed by the surroundings, I thought my dream would only have forests, but there's even a sea here. This place feels like paradise on Earth. The plan was to spend more time in the shop than in the forest, but this morning has clearly exhausted him. I'm not the best shopkeeper. Well, I'll take some time to recover, eat a lot, and read a lot of books. I'm tired of all this. He reflects, spending time alone in the forest, reading until he falls asleep. What he doesn't know is that unexpected visitors are on their way 2 hours earlier. Jia was happily reading, thinking it was peaceful to hear the sound of the sea, which is extremely rare. Nowadays, because the coasts are overrun by monsters, being in a cave like this feels like a blessing. He thought it would be nice. With that, out of nowhere, a skill appeared. You are a level 1 friend of the plants. He wanted to bring his friends here when he heard something beside him, a cat's meow, and went to check without fear. The danger plant made no noise, so it must be safe. He noticed a beetle flying in that direction. He wondered why it was going there. When he arrived, he found Actos, a creature too big to be a cat, but not big enough to be a tiger. It was clearly hurt. Jia wondered if he should offer help to the pterodons. He approached and patted its shoulder. It turned to see him, and the pterodons brought some fish. These beetles work at lightning speed. He thought pleased with their help as he petted the creature, feeling satisfied in the present. Actos had eaten the fish and taken a potion, finally stopping its trembling. Jia was curious, wondering he didn't expect animals in this forest. Where do you come from? He asked the cat, which meowed in response. He apologized for waking it and continued petting it, thinking of a name. Since Actos didn't fit as it looked like a tiger, he decided to call it Biome, which means tiger in Korean. Blessing of the unknown. He's already confused. It's the first skill he's received in 5 years as a hunter, and all he did was water the plant, which suddenly started growing roots in the ground. Jia said, if you don't have a place to go, come with me. He wondered if he could take it to the shop. When Guyon arrived at the shop, she was surprised. What is that? He said, this is Biome. Guyon exclaimed, it's not a tiger. Our guy is confused. I didn't imagine she would be scared. Yejin, bring the coffee. Our guy says you're giving this to me for free, but at that moment she had already stepped back. Because the kitty was approaching, our protagonist apologized, saying, it's going to live here with me from now on. I didn't think you'd be scared. However, he noticed that Biome was still smiling, wanting to be petted. Yejin awkwardly approached and petted him, thinking he was soft and fluffy. It seems he's just a tiger by name, she said. She continued, I heard you gave away some scrolls for free. Everyone on the internet is talking about it. He replied, ah yes. For the leader of the Eternal Flame Guild, Yejin thinks giving away scrolls worth over 100 million for free. He has no ambition. Or is he just stubborn? It's clear he's been living like this for a long time. Not calculating too much without greed. He tries to make others feel comfortable. That's why I always want to come back to this Ohm store. He's there, biting Gia's clothes. Let that go. He thought it was going to grow giant, but it disappeared right in front of him. With that, he woke up again in the tent. At that moment, the danger plant began to tremble suddenly. He thought it could be a city-level alert. Warning level 4 disaster. All residents in the vicinity must evacuate immediately. Yejin turned to him saying they need to evacuate urgently. Outside tanks have arrived ordering everyone to evacuate. Our guy is there with his white cat in the midst of the crowd. A level 4 catastrophe is very dangerous. Gia knows they'll need a lot of strong hunters. She just hopes they can handle it. Sometime later, they arrive at the bunker. The ground is already shaking. It's the end. A fierce battle is happening below. Everyone there is crying. Gia thinks to herself it's too soon to feel safe. She pets Bion, who is also scared. I hope it's nothing, she thinks. The catastrophe is in progress. This happens when hunters enter a dungeon and fail. Her white cat is there with her. When a mission fails in a lower level dungeon, it's not very hard, but it's a different story. Out of nowhere, and he thought it had all been a dream. The strange thing is that it felt so realistic. Then he realizes his hand is covered in mud. It's completely different when a level 4 or higher dungeon fails. The government has a plan. To evacuate all civilians within a 20-kilometer area, snipers are positioned everywhere calling all hunters to be ready, man. This is the first functional government I've seen, Gia thinks as Yejin announces that the first things to appear are giant skeletons. The army is here. Missiles, torpedoes, explosions. Look at that. The army is really doing something, Inzio analyzes. He recognizes it must have been a dungeon with weak monsters, but with the amount of combat power they have, it shouldn't be too hard, he says. To the army, shoot only those coming out of the portal while they focus on those escaping. Unless there's another variable, we'll win. Then a giant hand appears. He recognizes it immediately. A monstrous level creature changes the plan instantly. Everyone focus on that giant beast missiles. Bombs bullets. The torpedo hits its mouth and explodes. They think, well, no, it's not okay. It's still intact. The creature looks at everyone. Dangerous enemies must be eliminated. Charge forward! Inzio shouts for everyone to get out of the way. Bro, you better move. People awakened as entities called hunters and the new materials dropping from monsters helped humanity thrive. So the dream was real. He wonders, could it be that when I was sleepwalking, I slept here in the tent and went out to collect mud? No way. You're about to get crushed. A big decoy. The creature passes over them heading for the safe house, but Yejin jumps in the way. Who allowed you to go to the safe house? Using his sword tumult, will it work, he wonders. Guayon is there too. She has the scroll and throws it with a laser. But the creature doesn't even turn around, keeps advancing, and hits her in the stomach. Man, you're in trouble. Guayon the crazy mage screams, don't chase it. If you don't defend, who will save the people? The creature turns and says, a scene straight out of her cat Manhwa. I found our enemy. But the creature is scared. Something important is happening, Gia thinks. Wait, the barrier broke so easily. This means they're not winning outside, but her legs are paralyzed. She tries to move but can't. When she finally does, the creature is about to catch her, but Biom pulls her back and unleashes a burst of ice. Standing in front of Gia, staring at the creature trembles. What are you afraid of? In its mind, the creature hears Bion saying, you're an inferior beast. Get lost now, watching from behind. Or did I somehow really get transported to that forest when I fell asleep? Yejin and Weian realize that it has stopped. We need to take advantage of this opportunity. Yejin fires a huge blast of fire, engulfing her sword in flames. Cutting through the beast, the creature is now charred. It falls to the ground. Exhausted Weian asks, is it over? Yejin replies, I feel a massive amount of ether inside. The kitty is now all cute in Gia's arms a while later. Ambulances are taking the injured away. Yejin feels that the concentration of ether has disappeared. Looking at Biom, she thinks, where did that come from? Our guy is now home after taking a bath. Thinking about the crazy day she pets Biom and thinks, he looked so scary back then, but now he's so calm. The protagonist keeps thinking about the creature and decides to write about it just to have it recorded. Monstrous creature 15 molar tall, ugly as hell, and very strong. There's a site. A web that records all monsters, but no one knows how Keto manages to register new ones. However, strangely, when our guy wrote in the book, it also got added to the wiki. Jun is confused. Considering this is now the world of hunters, it wouldn't be impossible. He decides to try it again. What? How are these entries being updated, but our guy is quietly recording everything? The scene then shifts to a hunter meeting. They are discussing the monster, and especially the fact that they think it wasn't one of their hunters who killed it. No one knows why the creature got stuck. After breaking the wall, could it have been one of the humans inside? They wonder, but that doesn't make sense. How could a human have that much power? Yoonsuk says, did you see that the wiki was updated for the first time in a long time? Something is coming among us. There's something powerful enough to scare even that creature. Yejin speculates that either the person who scared it was inside or it's a hunter with a skill we don't know yet. Willen explains that several people present reported hearing a cat scream when the creature froze. Junsugo dismisses, it doesn't matter, that's not important. Willen replies, maybe, but inside was the potion shop owner with his snow leopard, and since the creature froze, he falls asleep once more and wakes up in the forest again. However, he notices that the place seems bigger and all the fog. The three head to our protagonist's shop. He greets them, hey, how are you? They entered without saying a word, all three banging on the table. Where's the cat? We want to see it. Biom will get scared with you acting so desperate, says Gia. Biom, who is nearby, jumps onto the table and stretches. All three look at him confused. Weian picks him up and asks, hey, is this the cat that caused that wave of ether? He looks like a normal cat. Gia warns her it's better not to hold him like that, but she doesn't care and grabs him, saying that she doesn't feel any ether coming from him. Impossible for him to have so much ether to cause an explosion without it being detectable. Beyond bites her arm. Jia says, I warned you, you need to be careful with him. Yejin adds, I heard you were at the safe house. When the explosion happened, many people said they heard the sound of a cat before the creature froze. Our protagonist responds, crazy, right? Yoon-suk adjusts his glasses. I think those are just false rumors. Poor Yoon-suk, looking at Wei-on and thinking he wanted to recruit this guy for our guild, has disappeared. He starts to think it could be a personal dungeon that only he can enter when he sleeps. But it's not the right time, little does he know. She has already been rejected when they leave. Wei-on says, you're not going to ask to join the guild. I wanted to see you get rejected. Meanwhile, Yejin gives a small smile. Trying to seduce our guy, eh? She says, I'll be back. He responds, whenever you want, but our guy isn't interested in that. Sometime later, he's relaxing in the forest reading a book about the continent of Gyun, a place where various species live together with the Great Tree. The Great Tree created creatures, considered the gods of nature to protect Guijin. One of the descriptions mentioned a creature that looked like a cat with fur. White and black spots. Looking at Beyond, Jia thinks, wait, is he a god of nature? But this cat is so small it doesn't look like a god. However, considering how he stopped that creature, it could make sense. It's not a coincidence, as they said there was an ether explosion. Jia continues thinking. It was probably Beyond who did that. This proves he is a god of nature, maybe then. The tree in my dream? And he had never heard of this kind of power. Then he sees a solar apple, a fruit that when mixed with a healing potion, really is it all starting to make sense? It's like the tree was giving him a task. It all started when he received the worker class. Help the Taradrans save Beyond? Everything seems to be part of a bigger plan. At that moment, the book next to him glows, and the most unusual thing is that in the class it says, Kiss Worker. What does this mean? Suddenly, it's like a flash of CS blinding him. In the next chapter, we see a girl in an isolated room watching TV. A news report talks about a bombing somewhere back to the protagonist. He's looking at the tree saying, it was you, right? Who brought me to this dream forest? I have no idea why you gave me such an important task, but there must be a reason. So I'll do my best to help you. At that moment, a purple tornado appears next to him and something starts to form. He hears a voice saying, curse everything that breathes, bring death to all living beings. A skeleton appears. No. Not just one, a whole horde of skeletons. Emerges in his forest, he recognizes the creature as an ancient lich. A creature of terror level? Oh my god, look at the size. Increases healing by 20% and reduces cooldown time by 80. Jia knows that potions are this is a disaster. Thinks it's almost cute being so small, the lich orders kneel before the master. The system then notifies him. The ancient lich is corrupting the nearby lands and will soon reach yours, although an immediate counterattack is difficult. Do you want to try to reduce its influence? Obviously, our guy agrees. Down below, the lich is calling everyone. The strange thing now is to imagine if this cat is the size of a normal one. If the lich, who should be much bigger, is small. How big is this cat, really? The lich marches with his minions. Our guy just wants a slap. But that's not an option. Remember that leeches don't die unless you destroy their source of life, and the system gives him that exact mission. Also, he will have to purify the nearby lands that the lich has corrupted. In the distance, he sees a small castle and recognizes it. He has seen it somewhere before. It's the banner of the Kingdom of Strand. Could these skeletons that the lich is controlling be the people from there? Decides not to dwell on that. What's important now is to reclaim this place. And since he can't intervene directly, he'll have to use the army calls for the Terra drones. Most used items in dungeons, yet the ones available barely heal 10% of health. The problem is that the only one who can fly is his warrior. All the others are stuck because there's a big rock in the way. Our guy has two options. He can spend an essence to remove the rock or let the Terra drones handle it. Since he's in a hurry, he spends the essence to do it without one-on-one, says Jia. The duel begins. And our guy watches the battle now that they're strengthened. They really look like a troop. The lich tries to send more soldiers, but it's not working. He raises his staff to cast a spell. The spell was an area effect, but just when he's about to slam the staff on the ground to activate it, the Terradrome warrior arrives and stops him. Our guy sighs in relief. The blessing arrived at the perfect moment. They take the staff from the lich and throw it to the ground. They're pulverizing it. There's only dust left of him, but the lich is confident. It doesn't matter. It's just a dead body. However, Jia realizes he had already sent someone to find the lich's source of life. But the Terradrome that found it isn't strong enough to destroy it, and have a long cooldown time. The taste is also terrible. Looking at the apples, due to this, Jia has to spend 5 essences to evolve it into a warrior. To take advantage of the lich. Being in pieces, he spends it, the creature begins to evolve, gaining armor, and everything thought it evolved into the one in the chest. But it evolved into the big one, making it even stronger. The lich reconstructing screams, desperately to stop, but there's no time. The Terradrome headbutts the chest, disintegrating it. Lich, our guy is all happy, celebrating we won. The squad brings several small chests. It's funny because the chests look tiny in his hands, but they're probably huge in real life. Jia feels a bit embarrassed and thanks them. The little creatures are also blushing. The strongest Teledrone brings a chest, and when it's placed in front of him, it returns to its actual size. Our guy opens it eagerly. Inside is the sword of the Kingdom of Stram, unique rarity, +5 to mentality and charisma of the Conqueror for real. I'm just a worker. I don't have attack stats. He thinks he'd like to return it to its rightful owner, but looking at the destroyed castle, he imagines the owner has been dead for a long time, so he keeps it in his faulty backpack. He is amazed. It's not just 1 or 2, there are a ton of solar apples. He gets an idea. He pulls out his little shovel and starts fixing the ground in the region he's throwing dirt. Damn it into a bucket to purify it, when one of the Terradrones suggests he write a scroll using Auntie's ink. He replies, there's no rune, buddy. At that moment, a rune appears on the tree. What a coincidence. Well, if that's the case, let's write it. Rune of Purification restores the land to its original state. Be on. He jumps on it and plays with it while the Terradrone uses the scroll and takes it away. Harmony scroll cleans any corrupted land. But suddenly all the Terradrones disappear. The scene changes to a completely different place, where someone says, this is our land, death to all who destroy our peace. The people there cover their ears wondering where the sound is coming from. Suddenly a star shines in the sky and the Lich appears with his army announcing, "This land now belongs to us." However, another portal opens next to the Lich, and a gigantic figure emerges. The Lich glares at the cursed race of the tree. The Terradrone crushes most of them. And so began the world of hunters, but our protagonist is different from all the others. We see him at the Hunters Association. What if he made a potion using the solar apple and that herb that gives infinite energy? The Lich tries to counterattack with magic, but now that he's evolved, he's way more resistant. The Lich has no chance and is easily pulverized. The scene returns to Jia's shop when Sun Yang rushes in, grabs the remote, and turns on the TV, shouting, "Look at the news! They're showing a report about the battle against the Lich. The land that was purple and cursed suddenly gets purified. The officials say this means the Lich has been eliminated." Jia wonders what's happening on the TV. She sees the Terradrone flying in the sky. Everyone is confused about how such a disaster disappeared so suddenly. The energy? Back at the shop, she wonders why the Terradrone was there. Yoon-suk in the company acknowledges it wasn't a destruction-level disaster. Her colleague confirms, yeah, they were mythical monsters. Everyone is puzzled, not knowing what's going on. Jia returns to the tree world and urgently talks to the Terradrone. "Hey, we need to have a chat." The creatures are all embarrassed. Jia says, "You didn't do anything wrong, so don't worry." For 10 seconds. He thinks about taking one or two things from here. That's fine, right? But where will he store them? "But I want to know if it was you guys who used the scroll and appeared on the island of Yuri." The creatures don't respond and run off bringing a bunch of rewards. Jia asks, "Hey, they're trying to silence me with this. I just want to know if you appeared on the island of Yuri." The creatures all embarrassed to say nothing. Jia pets them. "I'm not scolding you, I just want to be sure it was you, but anyway." Good job they leave 10 heteros and 10 essences. Jia thinks it's too much, just that stone. Ancient Lich Giant worth millions of dollars, however the big Terradrone behind it starts nibbling on it. "You want to play with this?" Jia hands it over. "All right then." The creature starts devouring the whole stone and understands immediately. It's using it as a power source. Lion is all happy. Well, what can you do? The creatures of the gods are incomprehensible. Now what? Jia has 15 essences. It's time to boost his stats a bit. 9 in strength and 8 in endurance. He's turning into our boy fighter, he wonders. Am I stronger? Not sure, though. For 10 seconds, think about taking one or two things from here. That's fine, right? But where will you store them? The reason to get stronger is to make planting easier. He doesn't want to obsess over power. He's already happy here, but oh. Back at the shop, Jia receives an invitation to participate in a dungeon, but it's different. Most of the stuff has already been cleared out. They call on the hunters to collect what's left around the source. Everyone going to collect items has gathered. Strangely, there are a lot of people. A man named Mr. Guanggu approaches the protagonist, saying he's never seen such a large group to collect items. The dungeon must be huge. Who knows, we might find something really good. Jala Ajia says, "I think all the good stuff has already been taken, right?" The man replies, "Of course not. Sometimes hunters are lazy and leave good stuff behind." At that moment, look who's coming, all fancy, the beautiful lady in armor. However, she has eyes for someone else. When she sees our boy, she walks straight up to him. "Are you here to collect items?" He says yes. He received a call that they needed help. Everyone around wonders, who is that guy? At that moment, a bag falls on their head out of nowhere. A dimensional bag. They suspect nothing and just accept it since now they can carry things. Why did she talk to him? Meanwhile, Yejin is worried because it might be dangerous, elegantly. In this recap, Manhwa Yejin offers to protect him. "Wow, chill out, guys," she says. "If you stick by me, it'll be much safer and easier." He's already a little confused while many guys start crowding around her. Yejin says, "Come with me, come here, come there." But she says she doesn't want any of that and looks at Jia. "Let's go." He responds, "All right then." The two head inside. She explains that such large dungeons usually have very rare plants. Jia? The two head inside. She explains that such large dungeons usually have very rare plants. Jia says he's glad he can recognize good plants. Most people don't know what to pick at that moment. Something shakes inside his backpack, and when he opens it, Bayom is there sleeping. Yejin sees it all cute. Tries to pet him, but gets bitten on the hand. Jia explains he doesn't like being petted when he's being carried. She's a bit upset, but they keep walking. Then she notices that the creature is growing a lot day by day. It must be eating really well, right? Jia, yeah, that's correct. She's not going to mention it 8 rocks worth $1 billion. It clearly seems like someone is watching him. After that, he decides to go back to the store the next day. We see another store, one of the most expensive for hunters. Walking through the forest, she asks if he saw the news about the mystical creature and the monster called Terradrone, and also about the demon ant nest with a giant handprint, the size of a house. Jia remembers slapping him. That can't be true. But she starts to wonder, is this really the case? Is the world inside the forest a miniature version of the outside world? At that moment, Dion takes an attack position and Yejin tells him to back off. In front of them, many trees and plants with large mouths start to appear. Jia asks if Yejin is okay, but she says this is the place where the person she's looking for disappeared. It's the same scene, and then we find out that the person who disappeared was the #1 in Korea. That means these creatures are at least level 5. She drinks one of Jia's potions and says Jia run out of the dungeon as soon as they attack. I'll try to hold them off here. Jia knows it's impossible for her to stop them all. It's a bunch of extremely high-level monsters. But she notices Biome is starting to exude an aura. He's charging forward oddly. The monsters are fleeing from him. Diom grabs one, bites it, and tears off a chunk. The plants are running for their lives. Everyone goes there to buy potions, but they're sold out until someone looks back and says, "Hey, that woman Yejin the Sword Witch." The store owner approaches. Yejin is completely confused, not understanding what happened. Diom returns calmly with something in his mouth. Jia asks, "What is that? Do you want me to plant it?" Diom nods. Meanwhile, Yejin is thinking about the big trap that killed the number one. Running away, I've never seen anything like this. But Jia says they have another problem. At that moment, in one direction of the forest, everything is purple. Yejin tells Jia that she should go back, and she says she finally found a trace of him. She can't go back now. Jia draws her position and says, then we'll go together even if it's dangerous. She'll protect them, right? She says yes, but she's lying, isn't she? In the end, it will be Biom who protects them. Walking through the forest, she points to a cave and asks, do you see that all the light is coming from that place? Jia agrees and they decide to enter. At the entrance, there are traces of blood and large handprints. Someone tried to escape, but it didn't go well. At that moment, Yejin recognizes the armor and sword of the number one boy, but everything is shattered and bloody. She hugs it, already crying, thinking that he has passed away. Jia tries to comfort her. Someone tried to escape, but it didn't go well. At that moment, Yejin recognizes the armor and sword of the number one guy. All nervous and says, Yejin, I didn't know you were coming. But she quickly replies, tell me why you haven't been answering me. But everything is destroyed and bloodied. She hugs him, crying, thinking that he's passed away. Jia tries to comfort her, saying that if they had really killed him, his skeleton would be here. He probably dropped it and went somewhere else. Do you really believe that? Yeah, at that moment, Biom brings a big green apple in his mouth. It's actually a symbiotic egg. He says he has heard of it, but isn't sure what it does. When they get out, he'll check it, but Biom bites him on the arm, wanting affection. Jia says these are excellent signs and that the person is probably alive. She agrees. That must be. Let's go back. They're pretty optimistic, but if I found a shattered and bloodied armor, I'd assume the worst. Yejin is smiling, saying that it brings her a lot of luck, making Jia feel a bit embarrassed. The situation is peculiar, isn't it? She tells him to call if he ever needs help, and he agrees. Diomi tries to swipe at her. The potion I ordered yesterday, where is it? The embarrassed guy replies, I'm sorry, but your potion is still being prepared. But she just hugs him and pets him back in the store. Jaya is looking for information about the symbiotic egg. He searches in books but finds nothing. So he decides to go to the forest world. To see if he can figure something out when he arrives, the Pterodrons approach and indicate they want to help. Jia gives them the egg. The creatures take it to their queen, who gently strokes it. After a while, everyone is climbing the tree, moving around. Suddenly, a giant moth appears. Jia recognizes it as a symbiote flapping its wings, scattering dust everywhere, and a message appears. A group of symbiotes that were asleep have awakened. With that, the restoration of the world tree begins. Jia is excited and touches the tree. As he does so, the world tree grants him its blessing. The dormant fate has awakened. His class changes to world tree worker. Jia looks around. Impressed, the place has grown much more. It seems a lake has appeared out of nowhere. The fruits like the solar apple have leveled up. He thinks that with this, he can make many more potions and earn more money. But then he stops. Could you wait a bit? She says she can't. She has an important dungeon in 30 minutes. I'm here to help. The world tree. Jia begins to think that maybe restoring the tree is the purpose of all this. Could this be the goal of it all? He looks at Beyond and asks if he's hungry, pulls out his fishing rod. Let's catch something for dinner. He pulls out a red trout. But when he holds the fish, it has an effect. If eaten, it activates. Level 1 extrasensory perception for 30 minutes, increases your reflexes by 20. He realizes that all his items now have more detailed descriptions. This will make selling potions much easier. He decides to run back to the store. Not realizing there's a crowd outside, one is even handing out numbered tickets to enter the store. A guy asks what's going on. Everyone came to buy potions from this store, didn't you hear? The potions made by that guy are way better than others. People from other states are coming here just to buy from him, and they're still cheap. Jia's shop is full, and he thinks that maybe this is the best way to help the most people possible. With that, she pulls out her phone to see if there's a store nearby. Meanwhile, our guy is playing pretend as Hai Eisenberg in production mixing. That's why it's limited to 3 potions per person to give everyone a chance to buy one. Her book-loving friend. She walks into the store and shows on her phone that the hunter's website is full. Jia feels a bit embarrassed. She picks up a potion and says, wow, it's the first time I've seen something so detailed. No one knows exactly what a potion does, Jia. Pretends she just kept asking everyone until she found out. She says, if the written effects are true, it's much better than all the others. She could take an extra as a friend. Jia says no, but as a friend. She'll give this creation scroll a wish. Any small wish can come true. 2 uses Jia, just hopes nothing weird happens. Because she hasn't seen anyone use it yet later. This friend went to a dungeon with her colleagues. In the middle of it all, she was hit by a creature in the back. When she fell, her group killed the creature, and she stood up strangely. The scroll activated on its own, giving a buff to receive 70% more items for 30 minutes. But at that moment, the ground cracked. Everyone panicked, thinking they would die, but instead, the girl at the reception says it's the first time she's seen someone with a worker class. The guy. Purified water, tears of Andin and Icergrass. He says it's going to be crazy. Now he just needs to add the solar concentration to the tube. They fell straight into the treasure room of that place there. She found exactly the book she had been looking for. After gathering everything, they were leaving the place. When a bunch of creatures appeared to attack them, they tried to flee, but there was no escape. She placed the book above her head and prayed not to die. Suddenly, they were in some kind of desert, and everything around them had disappeared. Meanwhile, back to Jia. The creatures that were chasing them appeared in her land when she returned to the store. The people who had been teleported were waiting at her door. Angry, Jia let them in to explain the situation, and she showed them the book. She had found inside the book was a map of the continent of hygiene. After that, everyone left. Our guy was left thinking, now I have a lot to do, right? I have to take care of the store. Read this book, manage everything. But there he was, petting the little kitten. That was feeling sleepy. He sat in the chair, still thinking. Not to mention I have to make a bunch of potions before going to the garden then. He thought it would be better to take a look at the map first, since it's a map used by the Knights of the Empire. Its quality is quite different. Spinning, consuming the potion, the system notifies him. Due to the blessing of the unknown, a verdict of great success has been applied. Even the terrains, the names of the places, the creatures, everything is written in great detail. The ancient lich that appeared came from the south, and the forest monster they encountered came from Mount Apido. If the map were complete, I could know where all the dungeons are. At that moment, a clever idea hit him. He was going to ask the Terradrones if they knew anything. This guy had some medicine in his drawer that he took when he wanted to sleep, which left him knocked out instantly. He woke up all sluggish with the kitten, but he was curious where the Terradrones are. But the little flower that alerts about creatures was trembling, indicating that a powerful creature had appeared. Our protagonist was curious appeared here then. We see the Terradrones surrounding a giant Cyclops. Giant, well, because for our guy, everything is small. The Cyclops is a disaster rank creature. Seen for the first time in China, almost nothing is known about it. Besides its size and appearance, the only thing he remembers is that dozens of hunters were sent just to hunt this monster. However, in Korea, a Cyclops had never been seen. You have acquired Alchemy Level 1 Special Potion. The duration of skill usage has increased from 10 seconds to 14 seconds. Before the beast was trembling, completely struggling to hit the little Terradrones, our protagonist asked Biome, "Aren't you going to help them?" "Damn, look at that big guy over there," Lion replied. No, apparently. They didn't need help. Our protagonist found it strange. Not even a mission window appeared. Does this mean the Terradrones can handle it? The little creatures were all protected and brave. Our protagonist decided to note down some features just to make sure things were recorded. The Terradrones charged forward and the Cyclops tried to crush them, but they dodged, aiming directly at its eye. Concentrated some energy there. Watch out for the laser, warned our guy. The Terradrones took a hit. The laser cut through the entire forest, leaving it devastated. Our guy realized the power difference between them and the Cyclops was significant. At this rate, the Terradrones would end up like Eagle Asteroid. But the little ones gathered around a captain. Our protagonist was curious what their plan was. They brought a big Mega Giga Crystal and cut it all. Our guy wondered what they were going to do. They made all the little shields with ice stones. Additionally, it restores 14% health over 15 seconds, way better than all the others. The Cyclops didn't care. Focused on its eye again and unleashed another laser, our guy saw that the Terradrones would do nothing more than stay. Calmly, there smiled as the laser hit the shield. It reflected and hit the Cyclops' arm, which fell devastated, left like a stump. Took the opportunity to write in his book, when facing a Cyclops, the best strategy is to use a Hector shield. To reflect its laser, he wondered if people would have enough Hector to do that. The Cyclops, all wrecked, was crying, fleeing. But it was over. Terradrone, bam, hit its calf. He hit his foot and fell like a fool. Our protagonist was impressed. The little survivors managed on their own, proud. They came to talk to our guy. He gave them the usual pats. "You guys are amazing since you worked so hard." He decided to reward them by giving them a bunch of ice. He gave everything to the happy ones. Terrified, he received a small note, essence plus 10, essence plus 10, essence plus 10, received 325 essences, he wondered. He's already amazed. Wait, an alchemist, even the guys who called themselves alchemists. Why did I receive so much? In his guild, William saw that some information had been updated in the wiki. When he clicked it, said strategy to defeat a Cyclops. You need 10 essences to see this information. She said, "What kind of system is this? I've never seen this before, but it doesn't matter, right? 10 essences. You can get that easily. In just a few dungeons, she sees the information there about the mass, the attack. Eye and the laser shifts down to see the most important part, and it's another 10 essences. Man, this is cruel capitalism. One thinks the poor girl ends up hitting her head. Damn it, no more essences. Who's the bastard that did this? If I catch you, I'll burn you. Our guy feels a bad vibe. Someone wants to hurt me. Then we see Yoon-suk getting out of a car and asking the guy, "Is there anything I need to know?" The guy says no. "So why are there so many hunters here?" "Damn it. Oh, it's because of this from yesterday. Look," he says. "Wait, a strategy to defeat a Cyclops?" "Yeah, it costs 10 essences to see, and then another 10 essences to see the final strategy." Have alchemist skills never heard of a 14-second healing potion? But every hunter knows that 10 essences can help with their status. Who's going to spend 20 just to see information on how to defeat a creature? That's why everyone gathered here. I don't know who the author is. But their writing is incredible, yeah, especially since a Cyclops dungeon never appeared here. How does he have this information? Junsu agrees a Cyclops is a level 6 creature. How can someone defeat a beast like that without anyone knowing? The guy says it's true, but there are rumors of a bath given in a dungeon. Right now, they really opened the map and saw 4 Cyclopes around called the Intelligence and Operations Group. In the meeting, the guy says it's impossible to access the wiki from any other country, so it's definitely not something foreign. June asks, "Is there no way to track who's receiving these essences?" The guy replies, "Unfortunately, they go directly to the system that helps hunters, and strangely, just like it said in the writing, whoever reads that strategy receives a bath." Yoon-soo, not understanding anything. Shaking it, he realizes it's an excellent potion. However, he's not very business savvy and doesn't even know how much to charge. Says, "I already have a headache," instructs everyone in the operations group to monitor the hunters who accepted this mission and see what happens. Their safety is the priority. Then we see a group forming to go hunting. She and Ye-yeon will join. She will strike first, and Ye-yeon will finish it off. Ye-yeon agrees since he has an attack buff against Cyclopes. 15% damage? 15% critical hit, says it will set him on fire. The scene changes to the Cyclops shooting the big laser. The knight defends himself, reflecting it. Yejin strikes the thighs and calves, and then a meteorite hits the chest. It's total chaos in the shop. Our guy is watching everything. An announcement is made. The Cyclops dungeon was easily defeated without any catastrophe. Our protagonist is impressed, saying that Yejin and Ye-yeon are incredible. The reporter says this strategy will be shared with all other countries. At no cost now, Jia is 100% sure everything he writes in the Infinite Magic Book gets sent directly to the Hunter's Wiki. If he keeps sharing everything he's doing with the Terradrones, he'll never run out of ice. The product is so good, it's hard to sell, not to mention who's going to believe that the consumption of ice drops to 0 for 14 seconds. Time. At that moment, the little plant is screaming, "Oh no, another monster. Let's go from one point. I'm telling you, this kid has medicine in the drawer." When the creatures announce themselves, he falls asleep upon arriving. He's in the middle of the sea and on the other side. Must come to a terror drone. The system alerts the world. Devourer is injured and needs your help. Our guy is shocked. World Devourer, what is that? Where the terror door points down. It's underground. What is this hole here when he realizes water splashes in his face? Biom shakes off the water and dries his leg. Don't tell me I'm standing on the World Devourer. Yes, it's the giant whale. Imagine you're so big. And he is gigantic. How big is this? It doesn't even make sense. It fits on the planet. It's really the World Devourer now. It makes sense. Our guy says so. You're the World Devourer. Scoundrel feels he's weakened. Now he understands why he was gaining so many essences. It was always for this. Here you go, scoundrel, and throws everything inside. Eat. However, the beast gives him a small, angry look. Our guy wants to know what's going on. She's already walking into the store Yejin. He starts screaming. There's a flash in the middle of the sea. The beast turns completely white and both fall to the ground. Exhausted, a system message appears thanks to your help. The World Devourer has returned to its original form. When he looks, it has become tiny. Oh, what kind of mess is this? When it's injured, it's big, but when it's small. Well, that's fine. Our guy likes it. He loves a cute creature and gives it a hug. The World Devourer is swimming happily. And our guy thinks it was worth using the essences for this. Right Lion, obviously not Lion, wants everything for himself. Greedy suddenly. Our guy notices something. Oh, what's going on? He jumps and splashes water at the fools when he looks the World Devourer. Brought a feast, a bunch of fish, oysters, snails, and crabs. Our protagonist is amazed. Wow, you're giving me all this. The creature nods. He thanks him in Biome. Starts to eat the World Devourer then. Leaves on the news. Of course, they're already talking about danger. Urgent news. An absurdly gigantic creature appeared in the southern part of Korea. Who could it be? Our guy immediately asks, how can I help you? She gets straight to the point. Potion. How many do you have? Harry Potter's squad is looking for the creature. Or no, it's not the World Devourer. It's a giant octopus. I thought it was. Our dear World Devourer. It just jumped on a house? What is this? Get back to the sea. Crazy, everyone is running away in fear. The problem is the hunters haven't arrived yet. Suddenly someone points Captain. What is that when they look? They see what's behind the poor octopus. The guys are terrified. Wait. A creature of destruction level the octopus wants to go back to the sea, but it gets absorbed and dragged into the belly of the World Devourer. Disappearing, the whale is there in the sea and the guys just watch? Junsuk asks the guy, wait, so this giant whale is a demigod that made a contract with someone who awakened for the first time. The guy says, yes, it matches the description of a demigod. Junsuk says they need to observe a bit more, but they mention that all the creatures that were near Korea were pushed to Japan. No one understands what's going on. It's chaos in the library. He and his Yong are reading. She brought him a bunch of ancient books from the Strong Kingdom, hoping to find some information. Our guy thanks her. He was born to be a slave in this world. Everyone only has combat classes. He's the first. I want them now. Before he can respond, she moves in closer. She asks if he managed to use the map, and he says, unfortunately, it only covers from the beginning of the kingdom to the river part. Plus, it was described by some knights of the commander. So it's not very accurate. She is confused. What do you mean it's not perfect? You gave everything to know it. Our protagonist is thinking, the one who saw everything was the terror drone who told me? But she can't know that, however he adds just to add. In this recap manhwa, the area south of the Sea of Tales will complete the map of the Stram Kingdom, ensuring they'll know everything around their region. Sunjin is curious. Why are you so interested in restoring the map? Seems too focused to be just a hobby. He says he feels it will help someone. He's sure the guy Mina is looking for, Han Seong-yu, is alive somewhere on the Urena continent. He has unshakable faith, found the guy's armor and sword. Completely destroyed, which means he's alive, but our guy is confident. With the World Tree's ability, are you sure you'll find him? Sungjun asks curiously. This is a health potion. He says, yeah. But before he can say anything more, she asks, what's its effect? Are you trying to help a good friend? Who is she? Tell me. Our guy says it's not like that. She says, I see. Well, I'm going to sleep because I have to wake up early tomorrow. Our guy says, all right then, goodbye my warrior. But before she leaves, he reminds her to pick up the potion in the morning. Since they are making Dan and Ron 3, she agrees, thanks him, and leaves. Our guy is happy with her visit. Since she helped him gather more information, he creates a new scroll in the book. The pursuit scroll allows finding a person, alive through a trace of their location. Our guy is thinking about Yeji all teary and sad. He wants to help the warrior, so he uses the spatial power scroll light ray, watching her pace back and forth. Why didn't you use it on the guy you want to find? Dude, it's fine, since you can do infinite specials anyway. Biom approaches, gives her a look, asks if she was scared, pets her, and they return to the dream world. Strangely, the water there has become much clearer, and he wonders if it's all thanks to the World Devourer. Even the solar apples have leveled up. He tries to explain that it's not for sale, but she interrupts again. Sorry, but I don't have time. He visits the terror bands, and the boss is getting huge. Oh, wait, it was just the angle. Our guy apologizes for the delay. He was super busy reading The Rascal and then brings a bunch of seeds from some fruit. Our protagonist is impressed. The amount has increased a lot compared to before, and he thanks them. The leader points upwards, and our guy wonders what it is. He starts to climb because he wants him to go up. All right, here we go. When he reaches the top, he can see everything around him and recognizes a mountain in the distance like Mount Apito. And this really proves that the entire continent of Gigan is inside this garden. At that moment, Leon looks down angry, wanting to come down to eat, but now he's stuck. It's easy to go up, but hard to come down. When he starts to descend, something grabs his arm. It squeezes, and he sees a small plant looking at him. He gets scared, and the plant gets scared too, calling for help from Ohm. Save me! It's the evil plant didn't just make a path for him. Calm down, Rascal, they're all sweethearts. She grabs it and leaves. Wow, what just happened? She left some money on his table, saying, if that's not enough. Our guy says, sorry, thanks for helping me down. He realizes, wow, it's just a cute little plant that likes to hold on to people. Should add this to the Hunter's Wiki while looking at the long path. He knows he'll have to cross this whole plain to reach Mount Apeto. He remembers this is the direction where the people from the Kingdom of Strand fled. According to the Terra Drone's info, this could also be the direction where Han Sung Yu, who disappeared the map, shows that following the Thals River also brings you closer to Mount Apeto. Heading south of the mountain could be a good idea to find traces of Sung Yuk, but when he gets there, he hits a barrier. This is as far as he can go, so he asks the Terra Drone for help. While investigating, he goes to feed Beyond. The problem is, where is Beyond? He's shouting for him to come. Strange Beyond usually stays close but never goes this far. He hears something and looks. It's the crazy carnivorous plant coming to talk to him. Our guy is now worried. Where is? Beyond hits his head on a table in the shop. Beyond, where did you go without me? We did so many things together at that moment. Call Miguel and Chris will pay more. Bye. Our guy was confused as she disappeared in an instant. Yejin and Yoon-suk enter the shop. She asks what's up. Jia responds, hey, who's this guy next to you? I thought our guy knew him. What's up with this guy? He introduced himself but keeps talking. How did you introduce yourself? You're looking at him again. Rascal grabs a potion and tells our protagonist. What our protagonist has is extraordinary. He thanks them saying he'll show them. It seems our guy called her because she says, I was surprised you called me first. Our guy says he has something to tell her and she's curious. He responds to her saying, I was studying an ancient book and found something you might like. She looks at him. Change trace scroll, the protagonist says. This will help you find Seong Yuk. The guy from the association is Yoon-soo. Right with an H like Hyeon, and the guy she's looking for is Seong Yuk, right with an S, but they sound similar. Yejin interrupts. Let's keep that a secret, okay? Jia confirms. Then Yoon-suk asks, did you make a contract with a divine creature, Mr. Jia? Our protagonist wonders to himself, you know about demigods. The guy says, yeah, a demigod. The guy explains, you don't have to tell me your skills and how you use them or not. That's up to you. I just want you to know. I hope this potion doesn't cause any problems, right? The warrior has already arrived at the dungeon, unsheathed her swords, killed 3 beasts, and is already running. That you have become a very important person in South Korea now. Our protagonist says, me, the guy explains. Thanks to your potions, the survival rate of hunters has increased by 20. The Hunters Association owes you a debt. So I came here to give you this. If you need anything, we'll support you. Our protagonist feels uncomfortable. I deserve this, the guy says. Yeah, you're the future of hunters. Yejin interrupts. Wait, you said you wanted to talk to him personally. The guy responds, I'm talking to him personally right here. Yejin apologizes to our protagonist, saying she didn't know Young-suk would come here for this business. He's a maniac, our guy says. It's okay, appreciate everything, and next time I'll make a nice meal for everyone. The guy thanks him, takes a bunch of potions, and leaves. Yejin comments, he just likes to work. Our protagonist says, it's kind of sweet in a way. They sit down to talk. She sits next to him and asks, what are you writing? He says, wait, I'm finishing. He draws a castle in a lake. She asks, wait, is this the castle of the Kingdom of Strand? He says, yeah. He explains, if you see a place with terrain, wow, that's productivity. The guys collecting items for her feel a bit embarrassed. Similar to this drawing, use the scroll when you think of Seong Yuk if he's nearby or has any trace of him. The scroll will tell you where he is. He wants to show her how it works now, but he's running out of ink. She thanks him with tears in her eyes. Thank you so much. He says, it's okay, I think he's alive somewhere and I'll help you. As much as I can. She says, you're a really kind person. And he responds, it's nothing, friends always should help each other. She leans in asking, do you need help with anything? Tell me. He thinks, oh, she's getting too close. She asks, where's Biome? Where did he go? He says he escaped into the woods. Biome is jumping, transforming, becoming gigantic. Even with his body weakened, being destroyed hundreds or thousands of times. The Guardians hold their position until the last moment and the prey of the god Artis. He has come to find you. It seems Biome is hunting someone. He finds a small wolf trapped by goblins in chains. The one who transmits the will of the god brawler is bad for the poor wolf surrounded by 200 goblins. Let's see how he handles this. He's growling. This is the power of a rank 12. They can't even see what's happening. However, the one in white says, with everyone watching, they suddenly hear something. Looking back, they see a gigantic Beyond. He walks among them without saying anything, sending a message, all enslaved by evil the goblins. They flee, then he speaks to the small wolf who looks at him and says, what are you doing here, coward Artis? It seems the creature has 2 names, Artis and Beyond. Beyond breaks his chain and says, your torment ends here, brawler. Point Growler responds, cat. Arrogant, but Bayo explains to me that the restoration of the world tree has begun. Growler sits, only the will of God can guide me. Get out of here, stinky cat. Biome bites him on the neck. Take that. Growler asks, what are you doing, bastard? Biome says, dude, you forgot I'm God's agent. If I say you're leaving, and that's it. Then we see our guy with his group of friends all standing in front of a castle. It looks like the castle he drew while searching. In the other world, he thanks them for joining him. Sun Young says, no problem. Compared to the potions you gave us, it's worth it. But why did you want to come here? This is just an empty dungeon, right? But this way we won't evolve at all. The other guy says, dude, it's the Sword Witch. The protagonist explains, the commander of the Black Lion helped some survivors escape during the war. There might be some kind of secret tunnel here. Sun Young replies, oh, I hadn't considered that. Maybe there really is something here. The knight with the mohawk says, I don't care about mentioning the Fallen Kingdom, I just hope there's some crazy artifact inside. The sword you're using, a long knight's sword, not only gives good stats, but also increases group damage by 1.7% for 5 minutes. Our guy says that sword you have is pretty good. The guy looks at him. This is just a normal artifact. At least it has a group buff. Our protagonist thinks, I know it's a rare artifact. The guy asks, how do you know? Our guy thinks, oh shit, I forgot, only I can see these things. He lies, I recently got an object analysis skill. That's all. Everyone is impressed. Wow. Now they understand why he can describe the potions so well. The armed guy asks, hey, look at this for me. What do you think of my armor? Our guy checks light chest armor. Increases defense by 10% and critical defense by 1.5%. That's all. The wizard congratulates him for finally getting a skill, and he thanks everyone all happy. Even if you wanted to, you wouldn't evolve. Just gather resources and stay quiet, but then the drama comes. Increases defense by 10% and critical defense by 1.5 per 100. That's all the wizard congratulates him for, finally. Obtaining a skill, and he thanks everyone. All happy, the knights are ecstatic. This skill is amazing. We're all gonna get rich. Let's go hit them. On the head. How dare they think about using the boy, eh? They apologize. Sun Young tells him it's good that you gained a skill. But you have to be careful with something like this. You'll find bloodsuckers like those two everywhere. He laughs. Got it, but our guy thinks it makes sense. They keep walking along the wall. He thinks it might be good to ask Yoon-suk later how to better use his skills, the knight points out. A part of the wall destroyed by monsters on the other side is the river, much bigger than anyone imagined. And the water is extremely clear. Our guy stands nearby thinking this place seems really deep. How they made a tunnel here, he needs to check the back of the mountain. A pedo. Do you want to see the book when everyone comes, or are you drawing the place? What are you doing at that moment? To have something that's not useful for combat. She asks, don't you have any skills or talents? He a bit embarrassed. The guy says, I get her too. If it were the old Yejin, she would definitely have told us to hunt together. The scroll of hope in Sunjin's backpack activates, increasing the chance of receiving an item. Special by 7, our guy suddenly stands up, scaring everyone. She looks confused. But he stood up because he saw her falling into the water like an idiot there. She goes again, drowning. Our guy heroically dives in, swimming like Michael Phelps to save her, but something's on his back. Look who it is. It's the World Devourer, but really small, haha. He saved both of them outside. He tells her to wake up. Crazy, you're all soaked. A while later, they are back on solid ground. Our guy thanks the World Devourer for saving them both. Then Sujun calls him from afar, telling him to look. There's a strange magic circle with a small cauldron. Our protagonist is thrilled. They thank the World Devourer and say goodbye. Suyun wonders. Am I cursed without knowing it? I keep falling all the time, the little knight tells her. At least you got that brooch. It looks good in her hand. It's the last brooch from the artisan. She asks our guy if it has any special function. But since that incident, she's completely changed and hunts alone. The other guy asks, what incident, La? And he replies, well, he examines it. Production artifact increases the quality of manual techniques by 10%. She's already amazed. She tears out some pages from the book and makes an origami dragon. Our guy says, this artifact is perfect for her. It would be perfect for me too to make potions. But it's her power too, the knight says. Let's go back. The dungeon is about to close, our guy. Thanks them and says he'll see them tomorrow. It turns out the writing on the ground. Taught how to make a dimensional portal using the power granted by the gods. You can open a portal to a different dimension. You can return by drawing the same circle our protagonist has. Hope I found a magic circle and got lucky. If I can figure out the secret behind this, maybe I can learn how the Terrans can travel so easily from the garden to the real world. He returns to the shop saying, well, I'm back, but then remembers the bride isn't there, however. He's as confident as ever, a psycho who believes in everything. I'm sure he'll be back soon. I'll get to work. Back in the garden, he calls the kids, but where are they? Looking around, there's no one. When he looks to the side, he sees Leon. You probably don't know because you're a newbie, right? But just then, Yejin appears. Huge with a little wolf in its mouth, our guy asks your griffin when you grew so much. And who's this stray dog in your hand? Look closer. Drawler, the messenger of God, is asking for your help. Do you want to take care of the kid, yes or no? Our guy, of course, accepts. The creature starts glowing golden. The power of the world tree flows into Drawler, and he starts regaining his strength, glaring fiercely at our protagonist, growling. But being so small, there's nothing he can do. Our guy grabs him because he's cute. Gia calls him Doggo like a little pup. Truly a creativity prodigy. Doggo doesn't like it, but Beyond says, just accept it, dude. This is your new home. A little while later, the number of Terradors has increased significantly since Doggo arrived. It's probably due to his demigod traits and the master's will. Increases affinity and leadership with animals by 1.1 and also boosts everyone's speed by 1.2. Gia says this is really good. It means that just with Brawler getting stronger, everyone gets stronger, telling them to run. They look confused, but soon they see it a manstalker, a creature of level. Not to mention he still has the persistent hunter skill detecting any movement within 2 kilometers. Doggo leading them will arrive quickly. They'll quickly reach Mount Apido. The harvest is producing a mountain of header thanks to the kids. He picks a special fruit to give as a gift. He's eager to eat it happily, but the greedy Beyond comes and steals it. A fight breaks out. Our guy has to separate them, saying, hey, you two rascals, stop fighting. At that moment, the little plant sends a warning. It knows someone is in the shop returning, putting the two on the ground, telling them they're fat from eating so much. At that moment, the kids from the association are entering the shop. Dogo is aggressive, already eyeing them suspiciously. One of them says, man, you got another one. Raskal Young-suk greets our protagonist, saying, I didn't expect you to invite me so soon, feeling a bit embarrassed. It was a big surprise. Junsu gets straight to the point. Is it true what you told me before? Can you see the features of the artifacts our protagonist confirms? Yes, the guild leader, whom our guy had previously rejected, also speaks. Hello, it's been a while, Mr. Gia. Extremely armored and with powerful poison. The two are already surprised because there's a level creature here. Our protagonist responds. Yeah, it's been a while, but what brings you here, Hunter Choi? If I may ask, the guy says, I know you rejected the guild offers last time, and I remember how mad they got, but I'm here for a different reason. The potions and scrolls you've been making are amazing, and as an alchemist, I'm getting jealous. Our protagonist, a bit embarrassed, thanks him. Junsu says, let's sit down and talk. We have a lot of questions. A little while later, he asks, our protagonist a bit embarrassed? thanks June and says, let's sit down and talk. We have a lot of questions. A little while later, he asks, up to what level of artifact can you see? Our protagonist explains. I can see perfectly the name, the description. The unique ability, even the percentages. I discovered this while making some potions and artifacts, both are impressed with such a skill. It's almost like you belong to a specialized class in object analysis. Our protagonist, a bit shy, says he has the ability but doesn't know exactly how to use it. Junsu says they'll teach him. Plus, Hunter Choi is there for the same reason. Our protagonist is happy, saying he'll help the hunters as much as he can with his skills. Jungsup continues. First, you need to know that there are only a few evaluators in the whole world. They only appear in level 4 dungeons. Yejin continues. I told you to run. Get out of here. She charges at the beast. If your skill gets exposed, hunters from all over the world will come to your shop, interrupting your daily life. But we've already made preparations for this. Our protagonist asks what they already did it on the Hunter's Wiki. There's a new post about artifact appraisal. Poor Guayon is exasperated again. When she opens to see the information, it says, appraisals from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. for an easy process. First come, first serve, maximum of 60 reservations per day location. Basement of the Guild. Eternal Willian is confused. What, that's my guild? How is that possible? What is happening? I don't know anything about this. In the next scene, a line is already forming. Our protagonist is wearing a mask so no one knows who he is, just sending artifact analysis. To everyone, if you use this sword like the other sword called E-Switch every 30 seconds, there's a chance to speed up your movement. The girl thanks him. Thank you so much, Master Cat. He thanks her back, saying that analyzing artifacts is pretty fun. The only downside is that it's a bit annoying wearing the mask. Drawing her great sword, but the beast defends itself and attacks, leaving her trembling. But it was worth it asking Yunsu for help. Now he feels a little embarrassed rejecting Guayon's offer to join her guild, but here he is using her guild. Poor Guayon is banging the table in frustration. Choi says, calm down, my warrior. The worst part is that she's thinking, if she finds out he's Jia, it'll be even worse. She knows nothing. She's upset, saying, I can't believe the reservations are full for 3 months already. Chui says, miss. It's your fault for not being fast enough. She grabs him. Damn, how could you do this to me? You should have told me earlier. I'm explaining, I'm not the one in charge, it's Yunsu. There's nothing I can do. The location was decided just yesterday. Besides, you told me I could use the basement for anything. She looks at a bunch of staffs and says it'll take, I don't know, 2 years to analyze all this, do. Something about it. Don't we have any privilege since they're using our place? He says, I don't know. I'm leaving. I have a lot to do. Your time will come. Eventually, just wait and don't cause more trouble. She sits down angry, thinking, where did this Master Cat come from? Damn it, I've used all my ice. At least I bought time for them to escape. The two guys are also running at a snail's pace. Who is this guy? If I find out, I'll make him my appraisal slave. Our boy's ears are burning. They won't stop talking about him. Our protagonist is. She thinks, if only Yuck were here, but she's motivated. I'm going to take our high potion. Ember, no, he's not here anymore. Now I can only rely on myself and this potion. She drinks it all and is confused. Responds that he doesn't. Then we see a shop for hunters in Sector 7. Our protagonist, Yujia, is attending to customers. It's the first time she's tried such a delicious potion, not to mention she feels her ice is significantly increasing. Now she can win this. She goes back to the fight using the sword, storm cutting and striking relentlessly. The beast is split and falls heavily to the ground. However, she immediately notices, wait, something's wrong. My health is recovering and I felt my ice wasn't decreasing. I managed to use the sword storm for 10 seconds straight. I usually use it for a maximum of 3. Could it be because of that potion? Who is that guy from the store? Wow, she doesn't waste time. In the next second, she's opened the door and walked in. You? She asks, what was that potion? Our guy is completely confused. The guys in the back are talking. And it seems everyone knows she killed the man stalker alone. She apologizes for being rude. And it seems like everyone knows she took out the stalker by herself. She apologizes for being rude. Our guy says he's fine, but there was some issue with the potion she gave him. She says yes. He's never seen a potion that heals 14% health and reduces the cost of ice, our guy being naive says.